everyone, it's Hayes. In today's video we're going to be doing another baking video. Sorry about the noise, it's just the dog. I haven't done one of these in a while. Why? Because I haven't felt like it. I've had some stuff going on in my personal life that I don't want to talk about. But it hasn't been great, but hopefully it will be better. So today I wanted to bake with you my birthday cake, although it's not going to be from the Miraculous cookbook, it's actually going to be from this book. This is Chocolate Baking by Ed Kimber, and he was the first winner, I believe, of the Great British Bake Off, or the Great British Baking Show if you're not from the UK. So I know this video has absolutely nothing to do with Miraculous Ladybug, but I wanted to upload it on my birthday so I could talk to you all on my birthday. So as always, I'm disabled, so if you see anyone else's hands during this, they're just helping me out. There's no problem with other people helping you if you need it, and also please wash your hands before you start. So the cake I'm going to be making for my birthday is a dark chocolate and caramel cake. I am very, very excited, and this cake has three elements. First is the cake, then the ganache, and then the caramel. And we're going to start with the cake so it can bake whilst I make the other elements. So for the cake you're going to need 45 grams of unsalted butter, 50 grams of dark chocolate, 80 grams of plain flour, and then 50 grams of either plain flour extra or some rye flour. I have gone with plain flour, that's why there is 2 bowls of plain flour. I couldn't be bothered buying rye flour for this, and I also didn't think it would taste very nice with rye flour. Half a teaspoon of baking powder, 1 teaspoon of bicarbonate of soda or baking soda, a 1/4 teaspoon of sea salt, 125 grams of light brown sugar, 25 grams of cocoa powder, 100 millilitres of extremely strong hot black coffee. 100 mils of coffee is very, very strong, 100 mils of buttermilk, and 1 egg. So to start, you want to melt both your chocolate and your butter. The book does say to use a bain-marie or to do it in a pan. I personally can never be bothered using a bain-marie, so I always just do it in the microwave. And the chocolate especially, it doesn't look like it will melt first once you start stirring it after the first burst of 30 seconds. It will melt. But only do it in bursts of 30 seconds for chocolate and stir in between, otherwise you will burn the chocolate. And when that's done, you need to mix both of them together. They will look like they aren't going to combine, but they will, I promise you. You then need to combine all of your flours together with the sugar and the cocoa powder and the bicarb and the baking powder. Whisk it together, it's pretty self-explanatory. And then once the chocolate and butter mixture has cooled, you need to add in the egg and the buttermilk. It will look a bit weird at first, but once it starts to look like this, you're in business. And at that point you combine these wet ingredients with the dry ingredients, so the flour and the sugar and the baking powder and stuff and the cocoa powder. Mix it together and you separate it equally into 2 15cm or 6-inch round cake pans or cake tins, depending what you have. And you're going to bake it on 180 degrees Celsius or 350 degrees Fahrenheit or 160 degrees if you have a fan oven. And for the people in the UK, that is gas mark 4. And you're going to bake it for 25 minutes, although I did mine for 30 minutes for each one. I bake them separately, don't do it at the same time. Just because our oven runs a little bit cool, I always end up baking, or if I'm like cooking chicken and we're there or whatever, we always end up cooking it for a little bit longer than it always says. It just seems to run cool. I should probably just turn the gas up. So whilst the cakes are baking, again I did it separately, we're going to make the ganache and then the caramel. So for the ganache you're going to need 230 grams of dark chocolate. I know it's a lot of dark chocolate, so you can substitute it out for milk chocolate if you prefer, but I promise the salted caramel is going to make everything taste a lot sweeter, so don't worry about all the dark chocolate too much. 180 millilitres of whipping or heavy cream, and then 2 tablespoons of golden syrup or honey. I'm using honey for this, and 185 grams of butter. Once again, microwave the chocolate after you've chopped it up. You can do it in a bain-marie if you wish, but I do not wish to ever use a bain-marie. I think they're cumbersome and also slightly dangerous. And then I'm lightly heating up that whipping cream and honey mixture. And you don't want to boil it, just get it nice and warmed through. And then once it's all warm, do this in a bigger bowl. You'll see me change bowls because it's not big enough. I then pour the cream into the chocolate mixture, and once that's all incorporated, I then add in the butter. But you'll quickly see I don't have enough room, so make sure you use a bigger bowl than this. This is just a soup bowl I'm using. I end up putting it into a mixing bowl because I'm like, don't be stupid. This isn't enough room, you silly lady. And that's it, that's the ganache. The whipping cream and chocolate are hot, so I left it in the cupboard to cool down a little bit before I eventually put it in the fridge so it could set. Ganache should be kind of
not a hard consistency, so to speak, but not runny like the way it is when I'm mixing it. It should be much firmer than this. And by this point, the first cake was done. It's quite a thin cake, but it is very shiny and moist on top. And as you can see, the edges are pulling away from the sides of the cake case. So now onto the whipped salted caramel. If you want, you can just make caramel. In order to do that, just don't put any salt in. You will be fine. It will taste really, really good. Just not salted caramel, but I personally love salted caramel. So I did put a teeny tiny bit of salt in mine. So you need 150 grams of caster sugar, 200 milliliters of whipping or heavy cream, 15 grams of butter, and a pinch of flaked sea salt. Like I said, it's only a tiny bit of salt, so if you don't want to add it in, my brother Matthew hates salted caramel, but I'm still making him eat this cake. You don't need to put the salt in at all. You can skip it. So on the stove, I've got a small pan of the whipping cream just to heat it up to a simmer, then turn it off. And then in the other pan, I have got the caster sugar. I'm whisking it, and I know it looks like nothing is happening, but it's because you're basically melting the sugar. And if you don't move it, if you don't agitate it, it's going to burn. And you want to basically do this until it looks like this like dark brown or getting dark brown colour. Then you add in the butter and the salt, and it will start to bubble up. And then you gradually add in this warm cream, which will make it bubble up like crazy. But you basically need to do it in order for you to make caramel. It does get very, 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 very hot though, so please be extremely careful when you are doing this. This gets so warm, but that's basically what you want it to look like at the end. And again, it won't make a difference whether you add the salt or not. It's entirely up to your preference. And this is what it should look like. It does take a while to cool, so I left it out in the cupboard quite a while before I ended up putting that in the microwave. It took much longer for the caramel to cool than it did compared to the ganache. So once both cakes are made, it's time for assembly. However, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm actually going to whip the caramel and make it into basically like a caramel buttercream. You don't have to do this, and there is actually pictures in the book, and the caramel used in the cake, like the caramel buttercream, is much lighter than what I did it to, but I kind of wanted mine to be a bit runnier and a little bit stickier, more like kind of halfway between regular caramel and the caramel buttercream pictured in the book. So you just whip it with a whisk. I have an electric whisk, thank God, because otherwise it would have taken forever. And at this point I'm going to take one of the cakes and I'm going to cut it in half. So I only made 2 cakes, however, because I'm turning 30, I was like, I must have a 4-layer cake for my birthday because obviously I am wonderful. I need a 4-layer cake. So under parental supervision, I very, 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 very carefully sliced this cake in 2. And now truly the assembly can begin. So I just have one half of one of the cakes on a plate. You can see the other 3 halves dotted around behind where I'm stood. And I'm just taking some ganache. I just kind of eyeballed it. I didn't really measure it out and be like, I've put this certain amount on it. I was like, okay, I need some to go in between each layer and then some more to go on top and on the sides. So it worked out for the best. I think I even had a little bit left over, so perhaps I could have been a little bit more generous. But just go for it. It will still taste good even if not all of them are equal. Although at this point after, so the way this cake is layered, you have cake, ganache, salted caramel, and then cake, and you repeat that going up. However, I think I should have whipped the caramel a little bit more because it was very difficult to spread on top of this ganache. But yeah, it still tasted amazing. It still tasted so good. So you want to split the caramel that you've got into rough thirds, basically. I guess it's a bit difficult with caramel to split it into thirds. And then you basically want to, as best as you can, spread it on top of that ganache. As you can see, it wasn't the easiest because I left it a little bit sticky. Kind of more like regular caramel. Like I said, it's like in between a caramel and a proper like caramel buttercream almost. Yeah, so it's not the neatest cake, but it tasted fantastic, so that's all that really matters. And then you just put another cake on top and repeat. So it's cake, ganache, caramel, and carry on like that until you get to the top layer. When you put it on top, at that point you should be out of caramel, and then any leftover ganache, put it on top of the cake, and if you have even more leftover ganache, which I did, you can put it around the sides. I've made this cake before and sometimes I don't have enough left to go around the sides, so I don't have a clue what I do then. But anyway, I am so grateful to have this channel and to have all of you. I have some personal stuff going on that is making things a little bit difficult for me, so I haven't been feeling the absolute greatest in terms of my personal life. There's nothing wrong with my YouTube channel, nothing wrong with Miraculous. Thomas Astruc hasn't decided to start being horrible to me again because he's blocked me, thank God, because I couldn't handle that either right now. But I am so grateful for all of your support. It truly means the world to me, and I'm hoping soon to get back to baking other recipes from the actual Miraculous cookbook, and making other videos on my channel like my audio fics that I know a lot of you have been asking about and you all really miss. I really miss them too. There's just a lot of things I mentally haven't been able to give my time to because of how I've been feeling, basically. But I'm hoping to get back to them, and I'm hoping that this next year of my life will be better than ever. So as always, besties, thank you so much for your support. Here is the finished cake. It was delicious, I assure you. So thank you so much for watching this video, and thank you for spending some time with me on my birthday, besties. I'll see you in the next one.